I'm 34. My wife, Lisa, and I have been together for 9 years. We met at a college party when I was studying to be an engineer and she was studying to be a psychologist. I fell for her immediately. Not because she was the prettiest, but because she was the only one who asked if I was okay when I went outside because I was having a panic attack. She sat down next to me, didn't ask what was wrong, just said, "You're not alone. I'm here." And that was enough. We grew together. She supported me when I lost my job. I was there for her when she went through depression after her father died. We don't have children, but we plan to. We have a strong relationship. Or so I thought. And then it all fell apart because of one old book. It was her father's diary. He had died 2 years ago of stroke. We kept his things in a chest in the basement. Lisa rarely touched them. Their relationship was complicated. He was strict, demanding, but she loved him. And when she decided to go through his papers with me, I had no suspicions. It was last week. We were sitting on the floor in the guest room, sorting through a box. Photos, old business cards, notebooks. And there it was, a battered, leather-bound diary from 2015. Lisa opened it to the last page. And read aloud. April 15th. Conversation with Alex. He agreed. $120,000 over 3 years. Conditions. Not to divorce Lisa. Not to talk to her about money. To keep the relationship under control. He says he loves her, but understands that this is a chance. I signed the agreement. For her own good. She can't stand another breakup. She stopped. Reread it. Then she looked at me. Is that you? I didn't answer. I couldn't. My heart was pounding like it was going to burst. Is that you, Alex? Is it you who got money from my father to be with me? I nodded. She dropped the diary. It fell to the floor with a thud. How much? How much did you get? Not all of it, I said. I paid back some of it 2 years before he died. How much? She repeated, her voice already shaking. A total of $70,000. She got up. She went to the bathroom. I could hear her throwing up. When she came out, her eyes were red. Why? Why did you do that? I wanted to tell the truth, but I didn't know where to start. I loved you, I said. And I did then. But you agreed to the money. Yes, I said. I agreed. She sat down on the couch. Her hands were shaking. Tell me everything. From the very beginning. And I started. 2015. We've been together for 2 years. Everything was good, but not perfect. Lisa was going through a difficult time at the time. Her mother had died the year before. She dropped out of university due to panic attacks, and we were struggling financially. I had my dream job, but I was laid off due to layoffs. I didn't know how we were going to survive. Her father invited me to a restaurant. Not to his house, but to a restaurant. He said he wanted to talk about the future. I thought he wanted to give me advice. But he said otherwise. Alex, I can see that you're a good guy. But Lisa is sick. She can't take another blow. If you leave, she'll break. I said I wasn't going anywhere. But you can't do it on your own, he replied. You lost your job. You have no support. I'll make you a deal. I'll pay you $120,000, $10,000 a year, to stay with her for at least 3 years. After that, do whatever you want. I refused. At first. But the next week, Lisa said she was pregnant. I was terrified. Not because I didn't want a baby, but because I had no money, no job, no future. I thought we were going to break up, that she would find someone better. And then I called her father. I agreed. Not because I didn't love her, but because I was afraid that without this money I would lose her, that I wouldn't be the man she needed. The money came into an anonymous account every year. I used it to pay for Lisa's treatment, to buy an apartment, to pay for my graduate school. I never spent it on myself. Never. But I didn't tell her. And now she was sitting in front of me, looking at me as if she were seeing me for the first time. You were getting paid to be with me? Yes. And you thought it was okay? I thought I was doing what was right. And me? Was I part of the deal? No. You were my life. But I was afraid that without this money, I wouldn't be able to keep it. She stood up. She grabbed her jacket. I'm going to my sister's. I need time. When will you be back? I don't know. She left. The door closed. And 6 days had passed since then. I hadn't slept properly. I hadn't eaten. I read that diary in its entirety. And I found another note. If she finds it, she will break. But if she doesn't, she will live in an illusion. And maybe that's better. I don't know who was worse with us, he who suggested it, or me, who agreed. But now Lisa knows. And I'm waiting. Not for answers, but for solutions. She came back 9 days later, unannounced. She just opened the door, came in with her suitcase, set it in the hallway, and sat down on the couch. I was standing in the kitchen making coffee. I didn't know what to do. I went over and put the cup in front of her. She didn't touch it. "I've been to a therapist," she said. "Every day." I nodded. "And what does he say?" "He's asking if I've ever felt real. If I've ever felt loved, not because I'm me, but because someone paid for it." I couldn't answer. The words stuck in my throat. "I remember you holding me when I cried after my mother died," she said. "I thought it was because you love me. But now I don't know. Maybe you were just fulfilling a condition." "No," I said. "That was real. And when you bought me tickets to Hawaii, was it your money or his?" "Mine. I didn't buy anything for myself with that money. Even the watch you gave me for Thanksgiving was my paycheck. And when I lost my job, when you said everything would be fine, was that a commitment or a part of the contract?" "It was love," I said. "I can't prove it with documents. But it was true." She fell silent. She looked at the floor. "My father always controlled me. When I was a child, he decided what I should wear, who I should be friends with, what I should study. When I started dating you, he said, 'He's not your level.' But then he suddenly started supporting you. Now I understand why. He wanted to protect you," I said. "He wanted to own me. And you gave him the key. I didn't want to be a part of this. But I was hopeless. Why didn't you refuse?" "Because I was afraid of losing you. Not because of the money, but because without it I had nothing. I had no job, no future. I thought that if I refused, I would simply disappear from your life. And you would find someone stronger, more stable. And you thought that I wouldn't accept you for who you are?" "Yes. I thought that you needed a hero. And I was a destroyer." She stood up, went to the shelf where our photos were. She stopped near one. Us on the beach, spring, rain, us laughing under an umbrella. "I thought it was a happy moment," she said. "And now I ask myself, were you thinking about money then?" "I thought I was the luckiest person in the world," I said, "and that I would never let you go. But you knew you were paying for it." "Yes. And that was my shameful secret. I hated it. Every time the money came, I cried. I didn't want it, but I couldn't say no because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to be with you without it." She sat down. She was silent for a long time. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she said. "Not because you took the money, but because you kept quiet. You let me live in an illusion for 9 years. I wanted to say it, many times, but I was afraid you would leave me. And now I'm waiting for your decision. I won't ask. I won't argue. I'll just say, I love you. I've always loved you. And if you let me, I will continue to love you, without agreements, without money, without a father." She didn't answer. She went to the bedroom. I could hear her crying. The next morning, she left a note. "I'm going to my mother's. I need time. Don't wait. Just live." I didn't know what that meant. Was it the end? Or a chance? But I started living. Without her. But with the truth. I opened an account. I transferred the rest of the money I still had from that agreement, $18,000, to a charity fund for women experiencing mental crises. I wrote a letter. This money is not for silence. It's for the truth. I started seeing a therapist, not because I was ashamed, but because I finally understood I couldn't be a healthy partner until I dealt with my own shame. 3 weeks later, I got a message. Photo. We are on the same beach umbrella. She wrote, "I can't erase the past, but I don't want to lose the future. Do you want to meet?" No answers. "Just to see you." I replied in one word. "Yes." But I didn't know if this was the beginning or the last chance. We agreed to meet at the same place we had met for the first time, a small cafe on the outskirts of town that made the best cup of coffee in the area. I arrived half an hour early. I sat by the window, watching the rain drip down the glass. My hands were shaking, not from a cold, from the fear that this would be the last time I would see her face. She arrived at exactly 2 o'clock, in a gray coat, carrying the old bag I had given her for the first Thanksgiving. She smiled, faintly but truly. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I said. "Thanks for coming." We ordered coffee. We were silent for the first 5 minutes. Not difficult, but not tense either. Like two ex-military men who had just returned from battle but didn't yet know if they were allies. "I read the letter you wrote to the foundation," she said, "and I looked at where the money went. That was good. I didn't do it for your approval, I said. But thank you for telling me. I don't know if I can trust you, she continued. But I know I want to try to understand. Not justify, but understand. I'm ready to tell you everything. No excerpts. Not now, she said. I just want to know, have you ever doubted yourself? Your feelings? Every day, I said. Every day, I asked myself, is it love or addiction or fear of loss? But when you were sick, when you cried, when you laughed, in those moments I knew it was real. And no amount of money would change that. She nodded. She looked in her cup. You know, it wasn't you who made it harder for me, she said. It was me. What do you mean? I always felt like I wasn't worthy, that someone would find out sooner or later that I was a fake. And you were my proof that I could be loved. And now I don't know if it was love or just a parting shot. It was love, I said. I'm not perfect. I made a mistake, but I didn't lie to myself. I loved you, and I do. She paused. Then she said, I decided not to tell anyone about this, not even my sister, because if it became history, I'd lose control. And I want to deal with it myself. I respect that. And one more thing. I don't want us to just go back to the way things were. I want us to start over, not from scratch, but with the truth. I agree. No hidden agendas. No pasts waiting to strike from behind. Yes. And I want us to go to therapy. Together. Not because we're broken, but because we've been through things that not many couples have gone through. I nodded. My eyes sank. I want this, I said. More than anything. We sat for another half hour. We talked about little things. About the rain. About the new movie that came out. About coffee. And that was the most important thing. We were just together. No baggage. No demands. No pasts. When she got up to leave, I didn't get up. She came over, touched my hand. I can't promise it'll be okay, she said. But I promise I'll try. That's enough, I said. She left. I watched her until she disappeared around the corner. And for the first time in weeks, I felt not guilty, but alive. 2 days later, I got a text. The therapist is seeing me on Wednesday. 6 p.m. Do you want to come? I said, yes, I'll be there. But before that, I did one more thing. I found an old envelope. In it were all the checks I'd received from her father. I didn't destroy them. I kept them as proof that the past was real. I took them to the bank. I withdrew the money from the account they had opened for me and transferred the rest, $12,000, to the foundation with a note. This is not for silence. This is for the future. I didn't expect forgiveness, but I started doing what I could. And when I got in the car in front of the therapist on Wednesday, I wasn't thinking about the past. I was thinking about whether she had already arrived. Would she smile at me? Will he touch my hand when we enter the office? We came separately, not because we wanted to, but because the therapist, Dr. Allison Morrow, had asked us to come separately to avoid a dramatic entrance. I arrived 10 minutes before the appointment. Lisa arrived 3 minutes after me. We didn't hug. We didn't touch. But she sat down next to me, and that was enough. The office was cozy. Light walls, carpet, a large window through which the rain was pouring. The doctor was in her late 40s, calm, with a look that didn't judge anything, but saw everything. Thank you for coming, she said. Let's start with something simple. Why are you here? I looked at Lisa. She looked down. We've been through a big crisis, I said. I kept it from her that her father was paying me to stay with her. She found out about it through his diary. The doctor nodded. And how did you react to that, Lisa? I felt like I had been cheated not just by him, but by my entire reality, she said. As if my 9 years of love were part of the deal. That I wasn't enough on my own. And you, Alex? How do you explain your silence? I was afraid that if I told the truth, she would leave me. That without this money, I wouldn't be the man she needed. And now I understand that silence was worse than any truth. She paused briefly. Do you want to say something that hasn't been said yet? Lisa took a deep breath. Yes, she said. There's one more thing. I looked up. I was hiding something too. My heart stopped. What exactly? I knew my father was planning something, she said. Back in 2015, he talked to me. He said, if you lose Alex, you'll break. And I won't let it happen. I didn't know he would offer him money, but I knew he would do something. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid. I was afraid you would react the way you do now. What would you say? You knew, and you allowed it? I don't blame you, I said. But it hurts me that you didn't say anything. I said nothing because I wanted to keep you, she said. I saw how you suffered because of the loss of your job, because of the pressure. And I thought, if it helps, then so be it. Let him pay. Let you stay together. Because I couldn't imagine life without you. I sat there and couldn't understand. Is this betrayal or is this love? You both hid the truth, the doctor said. But the motives were the same. Fear of losing each other. But now I don't know where we stand, I said. Was it love? Or was it a deal between three people? And I just didn't know about one part. But I loved you, Lisa said. And that wasn't part of the deal. It was mine. And you loved me. And it was yours. But we both allowed an outsider to interfere in what was supposed to be just between us. And now, the doctor said, you have a choice. Continue to live with this burden and try to fix the past. Or do something new. Not fix it, but create. I want to create, I said. But I don't want any more secrets. Neither do I, Lisa said. Then let's start with that, the doctor said. Tell each other something you've never said. Something you're ashamed of. Something you're afraid of losing. She looked at me. Alex, start. I took a deep breath. I was afraid that if you found out I agreed to the money, you'd say I didn't really love you, and that I was a fraud. But most of all, I was afraid that you'd tell the truth, that I wasn't enough, and that without money, no one would love me. Quiet. Now you, Lisa. She looked at the floor. I was afraid that if I told you I knew about your father, you'd say I manipulated you, that I used you. But that wasn't what I was afraid of. I was afraid that you'd say you didn't believe in us. What do you think, that I thought our love wasn't worth fighting for without money? We looked at each other, and for the first time in a long time, I saw not betrayal, not anger, but understanding. We were both afraid of losing each other, I said. And in the end, we almost did, she added. The doctor nodded. We left the office together. She took my hand, for the first time in many weeks. Do you want to go for a walk? She asked. Yes, I said. Very much. We walked in the rain, without an umbrella, and when she rested her head on my shoulder, I realized we weren't home yet, but we were going in the same direction. We didn't come back right away. We didn't start living together. We didn't restore everything as it was. On the contrary, we agreed to take a break. 3 months. Not a breakup, but not a return either. Just time, so that everyone would understand. Is this what they really want? Or is it just a fear of losing what is familiar? I stayed in the apartment. She moved in with my sister. We agreed to meet once a week, not as a couple, but as people trying to understand each other without masks. The first month was the hardest. I would wake up in the middle of the night, thinking, what if she never comes back? I didn't stop with the therapist. I told her about my childhood, about my father who always said, you won't achieve anything without money. I understood now why I agreed to the deal. It wasn't weakness. It was the belief that love is a privilege for those who have stability. And I wanted to have it. Lisa also went to therapy. Not with our doctor, with someone else. She said she needed space where she wouldn't think about me, to understand herself separately. 6 weeks later, she wrote, I thought love was when you're not left. Now I understand. Love is when you can leave, but you decide to stay. I don't know yet if I'll stay, but I want to try. I replied simply, me too. We met on the same beach promenade where we once stood under the umbrella. It was cool, the wind playing with the leaves. She came by on her bike with a backpack. Inside was a laptop, a notepad, and an old water bottle that I had given her for her birthday about 10 years ago. I've decided, she said. I didn't ask right away. I waited. I want to come back. Not because everything is forgotten, but because I've decided I don't want to live without you. Even with the pain, even with the fear, even with the memory of both of us being silent. But we're starting over. Not as a husband and wife who came back from crisis, but as two people who decided to try again. No agreements, no secrets, no parents. I agree, I said. And one more thing. I want children, and I want them to grow up in a home where the truth is not what they hide, but what they say. Me too, I said. And I want them to know that their parents went through pain, but they didn't give up. We didn't hug right away. But then she came over, put her head on my shoulder like she did in the rain. I don't promise it'll be easy, she said. I'm not expecting it to be easy, I said. I'm expecting it to be real. A week later, she moved back. Not all the things. At first, just clothes, books, photos. We didn't redo the bedroom. We bought a new bed. Not the same as it was. Different. Like a symbol. We continued to go to the therapist. Together. 1 session a month. Not because we were sick, but because we were learning to talk. One evening, she said, "I don't think you were part of the deal anymore." "And what do you think?" "I think you were a person who, like me, was afraid of losing the most important thing. And you made a mistake. But you didn't betray me. You betrayed yourself. And now you're trying to get that part back." I didn't cry, but my heart ached with relief. We didn't become happy again. We became different. More careful. More honest. More vulnerable. Sometimes I still think about the diary. About my father. About that money. And I understand. He wanted to protect his daughter. But he didn't understand that real protection is not control. It's trust. And now, when we sit on the veranda in the evening, drinking tea, and she puts her hand on mine, I don't think about the past.